The vast expanse of the galaxy held countless marvels, but among the sprawling confederations and interstellar councils, there existed a special designation that sent chills through even the most battle-hardened species, Deathworld. These were planets so hostile, so unforgiving, that the very act of survival became an evolutionary crucible, forging inhabitants of extraordinary resilience. In the year 2487, two such Deathworld species were about to meet for the first time, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Dravians evolved on a world of perpetual storms and geological upheaval. Their skin had adapted to a deep, burnished shade that could withstand extreme temperatures, and their muscular frames boasted reflexes that bordered on precognitive. Despite their fearsome appearance, tall, powerful humanoids with predatory efficiency, they possessed an uncommon trait among Deathworlders: cooperation. Their planet's constant threats of electromagnetic storms and tectonic disasters had taught them that survival meant unity. General Zura Alvantis stood before the Galactic Assembly's mirror, adjusting her ceremonial armor. At 6 feet tall, her athletic frame was covered in scars that told stories of survival against impossible odds. Her sharp, amber eyes had witnessed death and devastation countless times, yet they held a warmth that spoke of her people's philosophy. Strength exists to protect, not to dominate. Madam General, her aide approached. The Kolrath delegation has arrived. Zara nodded, her mind recalling everything she'd learned about this other Deathworld species. The Kolrath hailed from a planet of perpetual volcanic activity and apex predators that defied imagination. Their bodies had evolved into walking arsenals, naturally armored carapaces, retractable claws, and the ability to produce corrosive secretions. Unlike the Dravians, they lived by one brutal law: the strong survive, the weak perish. In the central chamber of the Galactic Assembly Station, War Chief Skartal entered with a presence that seemed to darken the room. His massive frame was covered in biological armor that had grown from his own body, creating chitinous plates that clicked with each movement. His four-fingered hands ended in razor-sharp claws, and his mandibles clicked softly as he surveyed the assembly. The tension was immediate. Dozens of alien species watched with bated breath as the two Deathworld representatives faced each other for the first time. Both had been summoned to resolve a territorial dispute in the Outer Rim, where their expanding territories had finally collided. So, Skartal's voice resonated like grinding stones. "You are the Dravians who dare claim territory in our sector." Zara stood her ground, unflinching. "We claim nothing that belongs to others. The Helion system is unclaimed space, and our colonists arrived first." The Warchief's mandibles twitched in what might have been amusement. "First? The only claim that matters is the one you can defend. In the true laws of nature, possession belongs to those strong enough to take it." "Is that why you're here?" Zara asked calmly. "To prove your strength in a council chamber? Even your species must recognize the value of diplomacy." A low growl emanated from Skartal's throat. "Diplomacy is a game for weaklings who lack the power to take what they need. We came because the Assembly demanded it. But make no mistake, Dravian, if you seek to keep those worlds, you will face the might of the Kolrath Empire." The assembled delegates shifted uncomfortably. Two Deathworld species in conflict could potentially devastate entire star systems. Ambassador Terrell of the Solari Federation stepped forward, his translucent form shimmering with anxiety. "Perhaps we should adjourn to allow both parties to consider their positions," Terrell suggested diplomatically. As the session broke, neither side had yielded an inch. In the private Dravian quarters, Zara's command staff gathered. Major Marcus Thorne, her second-in-command, paced anxiously. "General, their fleet is already massing near the Helion system. Our colonists report increasing encounters with Kolrath scout ships. Status of our defensive positions?" Zara asked. "Minimal. We focused on establishing the colony, not fortifying it for war." Zara sighed. "Of course, because we hoped reason would prevail." Lieutenant Sarah Vale, head of intelligence, interjected. "There's more, General. Our analysis suggests the Kolrath see this as more than a territorial dispute. They view it as a challenge to their dominance. If they back down now, it undermines their entire social structure. Which means they can't afford to negotiate, Zara concluded, unless we force them to. Meanwhile, in the Kolrath section of the station, Skartal addressed his warriors. The Dravians reek of weakness. They speak of cooperation and mutual aid, concepts that have no place in the crucible of survival. We will crush them and prove once again that might makes right. War leader, his second, Tarakvin, spoke. There are reports that the Dravians possess technology we do not understand. Their cooperation has allowed them to develop sciences beyond our own. Technology is a crutch for the weak, Skartal dismissed. When warrior meets warrior in true combat, it is strength and will that determine the victor. Nothing else matters. The tension escalated when both species' ships encountered each other in the asteroid belt of a disputed system. What began as posturing quickly turned violent. Dravian defensive ships, designed for protection rather than conquest, found themselves outgunned by Kolrath warships built purely for destruction. As casualty reports arrived, the Galactic Assembly called an emergency session. Ambassador Trell pleaded for a ceasefire. Two Deathworld species at war could destabilize the entire sector. We must find another way. It was then that Skartal made his declaration. There is one way. The ancient way. Let our strongest warriors meet in single combat. The victor claims the territory, and the galaxy is spared a war. The assembly murmured in shock. Trial by combat was an archaic practice, banned in most civilized systems. Zara's response surprised everyone. We accept. Later, in private, her staff protested vehemently. General, you can't. Look at him. He's a living weapon. I don't see a choice, Zara replied. If we refuse, they'll attack our colonies. At least this way, only one life is at risk. But why you? Marcus demanded. Let me fight in your place. Zara shook her head. This isn't just about winning. It's about what we stand for. The Kolrath need to understand that strength comes in many forms. The arena was a massive zero-gravity chamber in the center of the neutral station. Hundreds of delegates watched from observation platforms as the two champions prepared to enter. Zara wore minimal armor, prioritizing mobility over protection. Her training had always emphasized agility and precision over brute force. In contrast, Skartal entered like a walking tank, his natural armor enhanced with additional plating, each step radiating confident menace. Last chance to yield, Dravian, Skartal growled. I take no pleasure in crushing inferior beings. That's the difference between us, Zara replied. I take no pleasure in combat at all. The signal sounded. Skartal charged with terrifying speed, his claws extended. Zara dove aside, using the zero-gravity environment to her advantage, pushing off surfaces to maintain momentum. She struck at the joints in his armor, targeting weak points with surgical precision. The Kolrath war chief roared in frustration as Zara evaded his attacks. Each miss only fueled his rage. He began releasing his corrosive secretions, creating a hazardous cloud that forced Zara to constantly move. Minutes stretched into an eternity as the deadly dance continued. Zara's agility kept her alive, but Skartal's endurance seemed limitless. She was tiring, and they both knew it. Then Skartal made his mistake. Overconfident in his approaching victory, he committed too fully to a lunging attack. Zara seized the opportunity, using his momentum against him. She maneuvered behind him and struck with devastating force at the base of his skull, one of the few unarmored spots on his body. The war chief crashed to the platform, stunned. Zara landed on his back, pressing her combat knife against the vulnerable spot. Yield, she commanded. Skartal struggled, but her position gave her leverage. After a moment, he went still. Finish it, he growled. The strong kill the weak. It is the way. The arena fell silent, every being watching to see what would happen next. Zara hesitated, then stepped back, removing her knife. She extended her hand to help him up. The gesture caused a collective gasp from the Kolrath delegation. In their culture, Mercy was weakness. To spare a defeated enemy was unthinkable. Scartal stared at her outstretched hand, his alien features contorted in confusion. "Why?" he demanded. "You have one. By all laws of nature, my life is yours to take." "Because that's not our way," Zara replied. "Strength isn't just about destroying. It's about building, protecting, showing mercy when you have the power to kill. That's what makes us different from the universe that shaped us." For a long moment, Scartal remained motionless. Then, slowly, he reached up and grasped her hand. As Zara pulled him to his feet, something unprecedented happened. The war chief of the Kolrath, who had never bowed to anyone in his life, placed his clawed hand over his chest and inclined his head in a gesture of respect. "You have shown me strength I did not know existed," he said, his voice carrying across the silent arena. The Kolrath. Yield. The aftermath was transformative. In the medical bay, as both warriors received treatment, they spoke for the first time as equals rather than enemies. "Your people," Scartal said, wincing as a medic tended to his wounds, "they survived by working together. Ours survived by competing against each other. I see now that there are different kinds of strength. Both have value," Zara admitted. "Your individual prowess is remarkable. Imagine what our species could achieve if we combined our strengths instead of testing them against each other." The peace treaty was signed with great ceremony. The Helion system would be jointly administered, a symbol of what could be achieved when even the most different species found common ground. However, not all Kolrath accepted this new paradigm. A faction of hardliners, led by Tarak Vin, declared Scartal a traitor to their ways. But the majority, having witnessed their undefeated war chief bow to a different kind of strength, were willing to explore this new path. Months later, as joint Dravian-Kolrath patrols defended their shared territory from pirates, Ambassador Trell reflected on the historic meeting. "When two Deathworld species met, we feared the worst. Instead, we witnessed evolution in real time, not of bodies, but of understanding." In the command center of the Joint Operations Base, Zara and Scartal stood side by side, reviewing reports. They had learned to appreciate each other's perspectives, creating strategies that combined Dravian teamwork with Kolrath individual excellence. "You know," Scartal mused, "my people have a saying, the victor writes history. But in our case, perhaps history writes the victors." Zara smiled. "Perhaps the real victory is realizing that we don't have to be defined by the worlds that created us. We can choose who we become." The galaxy had witnessed something remarkable. When two species from the deadliest worlds imaginable met, one did not destroy the other. Instead, one bowed, not in defeat, but in recognition of a strength greater than mere physical power. It was a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, the capacity for growth and understanding could flourish. News of the encounter spread throughout known space, becoming legend. Other Deathworld species began to reconsider their isolationist policies. The example set by the Dravians and Kolrath sparked a new era of cooperation among species that had previously been considered too dangerous to approach. Scientists later theorized that Deathworld species, having survived the worst their planets could offer, possessed a unique adaptability. When presented with new challenges, like understanding rather than destroying, they could evolve faster than anyone expected. Years passed, and the joint colony in the Helion system became a beacon of possibility. Dravian efficiency combined with Kolrath strength created defenses that no pirate dared challenge. Together, they pushed back against a hostile universe, proving that cooperation between the strongest could create something even stronger. Zara and Scartal never forgot their first meeting, nor the battle that changed everything. Sometimes, in quiet moments aboard their joint command ship, they would discuss the irony of their situation. "Your people call you a hero for showing mercy," Scartal once observed. "Mine call me a visionary for accepting it." Both are learning that survival's highest form isn't about defeating others, but about transcending the limitations we place on ourselves. "The universe tested us in different ways," Zara replied. "But in the end, we faced the same choice. evolve or perish. We just needed to understand that evolution isn't always about getting stronger. Sometimes it's about getting wiser. As their ship patrolled the borders of their shared space, both commanders knew that challenges remained. The hardline Kolrath faction still plotted, and some Dravians questioned the wisdom of allying with former enemies. But these were problems they would face together, combining their strengths to forge something new. The story of when two Deathworld species met became more than just a tale of conflict resolved. It became a testament to the power of understanding, and proof that even those shaped by the harshest conditions could choose compassion over conquest. When Skartal bowed to Zara that day, he didn't just acknowledge her victory. He acknowledged the possibility of a different future. And in the vast tapestry of galactic civilization, that moment would forever be remembered as the day when two species destined for war chose peace instead, proving that the greatest strength of all was the courage to see beyond one's own nature. As the stars continued their eternal dance, the alliance between Dravians and Kolrath grew stronger. They faced new threats together, their combined might becoming legendary throughout the galaxy. And whenever new species emerged from their own death worlds, ready to prove their worth through violence, they would hear the story of Zara and Skartal, of how two warriors from the deadliest worlds imaginable discovered that the hardest battle of all was against their own preconceptions. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson. When two Deathworld species meet and one bows, it's not the end of story. It's the beginning of a new chapter in evolution itself. Deep in the archives of the Galactic Assembly, the treaty between the Dravians and Kolrath was preserved not just as a legal document, but as a symbol of hope. Inscribed at the bottom were the words that would echo through generations. Strength without wisdom is brutality. Wisdom without strength is vulnerability. But when strength and wisdom unite, they become invincible. This was the legacy of the day when two Deathworld species met, and one chose to bow, not in submission, but in respect, not in defeat, but in evolution. And in doing so, they showed the galaxy that even the deadliest worlds could produce not just survivors, but civilizations capable of transcending their origins. The universe, vast and often cruel, had witnessed many conflicts. But on that day, it witnessed something rarer and more precious. The birth of understanding between beings who had every reason to destroy each other, but chose a different path. And that choice would resonate through the stars for millennia to come, a reminder that in the darkest corners of space, light could still find a way to shine. 5,122 words.